Deep in the heart of Paperland, the Earl of Envelope built his castle upon Pillowtop Hill.
Hello, I'm Nan. You know, sometimes I come up with ideas for crafts based on the things I seem to have a lot of around my house. Now, lately, I seem to have a lot of envelopes. I have long ones, I have shorter ones, I have all different colored envelopes. And I was so excited when I came up with the envelope castle, and I want to show you how to make one. So now I'd like to show you what's in your envelope castle kit. The outside of the kit is also where you find templates. These are things you can cut out and trace if you want to, or you can just get ideas for things you can make for your castle. You have an instruction book with lots of pictures in it, and several envelopes, and you have some little people here, and I'll show you what to do with those, and a crest to decorate, and some extra paper. Now I'm going to show you how to make one tower of your castle. And for that, you're going to need one of the long, thin envelopes that you have in your kit. Now, envelopes have this flap, and when you mail letters, you have to seal them so that the letter inside stays safe. And the way you do that is to wet the shiny part that has adhesive and then stick it down. And that's the first step. That's what we need to do. So I'm going to do that now. Sometimes it tastes kind of funny. If you don't want to lick it, you can maybe take a wet paper towel and get that adhesive strip wet. So my envelope is nice and sealed. Now the next thing I'm going to do to make a tall tower, I'm going to cut a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom. Just a little bit. Very thin piece, because I want to keep this piece of envelope as long as I can. So I'm cutting off these little ends. And I want you to save the ends because we're going to use them later. So now what you have is an open tube like this. And that's what we want. The next step is to fold this envelope long ways in half. So I'm going to bring these two sides together like this and do a nice crease on this side. Go over that crease several times to make it nice and crisp and flat. And then I want you to open it back up and then kind of force that crease the other direction. And fold it nice and flat that way. We're getting it ready to open up and become a tower. So now you have the open ends of your envelope on either end here, and it's sort of in a shape like this. Now, before we open it up and make a tower, we need to make the top of the castle shape. And if you think about pictures you've seen of castles, they often have little pieces cut out of the top of them to make sort of a zigzag shape. And that's what we're going to do next. Before you cut things, it's always a good idea to use a pencil to draw where you're going to cut first, because it's a lot easier to erase a pencil line than it is to get rid of a cut you put in something. So I've drawn a little rectangle here, and that is what I'm going to cut out of the top of this tower. So I will go ahead and do that now with my scissors. The strongest part of the scissors is right where the two pieces of them meet. So that's where I'm cutting, because I'm cutting through a few thicknesses of paper. So now I've got the shape cut out, and I'm going to open it up. And the way we open it up is to open it this way, and then I'm going to stick my hand in the middle and sort of help it open. And it's almost a square shape right now. But if I take this corner that was folded the other direction and crease it this way, then I have a nice square tower.
I've made 4 towers, 4 tall towers, but I feel like I need something in the middle of them, either a wall or maybe a wider room to bind them all together.
Now, to make a shorter, wider tower, we have a shorter envelope, or we can use this long envelope, again, in a different way. Now, do you remember how we cut off the short ends of these to make a tube at the beginning of making our tower? We're going to do the same thing, only we're going to cut the long sides off. And so I'm going to do that with my scissors right now. Takes a little longer. There. Now what we have is an open tube that's connected at the ends. Now, do you remember the next step? We are going to fold the tube in half so that the open part is on the sides and the sealed parts are together. So see how I took the tube and I folded it in half like this. And you crease it with your fingers a couple of times this way, and then you open it up and bend it backwards along that fold. See how it's easier to fold now that it's been folded once. And we're going to make that a nice crisp fold. They call it a crisp fold for some reason. Now, just like before, if you want to cut a shape into the top, you can. I've just finished cutting the notches out of the top of my wider tower, and I'm about to open it up. Do you remember how we did this? We stick our hand in the middle and we spread it out, and it's almost a square already, but we're going to help it be a square by refolding this fold on in the other direction. There we have a nice square tower. So I am all set to put the tower that we made together with the rest of my castle. Now, I have taped this to a piece of blue cardboard that I had because it's easier to show you. And you might want to do that too, or you might want to keep your tower pieces separate so you can play with them. So I'm going to tape it right here. I've got my piece of tape ready, and I'm going to tape it right in there. And here's what I've got. I've got a castle with 4 sides. And now we're ready to add some things and decorate it. People lived in their castles and they needed protection from enemies and from weather and from wild animals and things. And so they came up with lots of ways to protect their castles. And one of the ways was something called a moat, which was a little river of water that went around their castle so that you couldn't just walk up to their castle. And I have taken some blue construction paper and taped together 4 pieces to make a moat. I'm just going to put the tape here like that, and one over here like this. To protect the castle even more, I've added some crocodiles swimming in the moat and a drawbridge across it. And now I'll show you how to do those things. You can make your crocodile head out of a tiny little extra piece of paper. I used green, but you can make it any color you'd like. And first thing you need to do is fold it in half, like this. See how his mouth goes? And then we're going to fold, at the fold, we're going to fold it up a little bit more. I'm going to do it even more than that. And this part is going to be where his eyes are going to be. And I'm going to cut a notch out of the middle and a little bit out of the side. Here he is. So you can see the notch I cut between the eyes, and I also cut a little bit off the sides to make them more eye-shaped. And then I shaped his nose a little bit to get rid of these straight edges, because animals don't usually have straight edges. And then I made it so that his mouth would be open a little, and I even drew some teeth inside. And then for extra alligator effect,
If you have a little piece of paper like this you can use as a tail, you can glue that on your moat behind it so that it looks like his tail is sticking up. And that is what I've done there. Let's start by talking about the drawbridge. If you had a castle, you would need a bridge to go across the moat to go in and out, but at night you would want to be protected from other people coming in and out. So you might have a bridge that you could pull up with ropes so that people couldn't cross the water on a bridge. Now, in your kit, there are templates, and one of the templates is for the drawbridge. And this is something you can cut out and color with crayons. That's exactly what I did. And I colored the one side that is in the template, and I also colored the other side. And so that's how you can do a drawbridge. Even though you have a nice, strong stone castle with a nice wooden door and a drawbridge that pulls up at night and even some crocodiles in your moat, you still might not feel like your castle is protecting you enough. And it might be a good idea to build some kind of wall to protect your castle and the lands around it. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. I'll show you how to make a piece of wall just like this one. You start with a bigger piece of paper. This is part of a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 paper like you use in your printer. And I'm going to measure how wide it needs to be based on the wall I have already. And then I'm going to fold it along that line. So that's how you get a nice straight line. And that fold is going to help me know where to cut. So I'm going to cut right here like this, right along that fold. Then I take this longer piece and I fold it in half like so and meet up the ends. And I make a nice crease here. Then I take one of the ends and fold it back to the fold like this. Then I flip the paper over and I do the same thing on the other side. I'm taking this edge and matching it up to the fold line like that. Now I've got the wall and it's ready to look like the other wall, and so I'm going to fold up this wall and use it to trace the shape I want in the top of my new wall. So after I've done that, I cut it right along those lines through all those layers of paper, and I open it up and have a piece of wall just like the other piece. You can make as many pieces as you want to go all the way around your castle, and I bet you can figure out a way to make a door so people can get in. Once you've protected your castle with a wall and a moat, you can start decorating. And I will show you a few ideas for how to do this, and I'm sure you can come up with lots more. Do you remember at the beginning of the craft when we cut off the ends of the envelopes? These ends are nice and stiff and they make great flagpoles. And you can cut out flag shapes, you'll find some in your templates, and tape them to the end of the envelopes. Then you can tape your flag inside your tower. In your kit you will find a crest shape. Families used crests to put pictures of things that were important to them on their castle or in their great hall. And I thought a long time about what I would put on my castle, and I like kitty cats, and so I put a kitty cat on my castle crest. Finally, in your kit there are a few little people that you can color, and then you can fold these pieces along this dotted line and they will stand up and they can be the people around your castle. You can make other people too, though. Take a look at your instruction book. There are some other ideas for decorating your castle, and I hope you check those out.
Well, I've had a lot of fun making this with you. I hope you have fun with your kit, and I'll see you next time.